Spurred by a mid-season coaching change and a 4-2 win on decision day, FC Tucson find itself hosting a match in their first League One playoff appearance. The league's all-time leader in goals and back-to-back Golden Boot winner Emiliano Terzaghi led the Kickers to a postseason berth of their own. And a trip to Greenville for the semifinal awaits the winner. It's a desert duel between Tucson and Richmond right now. Welcome to wonderful Tucson, Arizona for part 2 of the League One quarterfinals presented by the Arizona Bowl. It's the 4-seed FC Tucson hosting the 5-seed Richmond Kickers here at Kino Sports Complex. Welcome one and all to the broadcast. My name is Mark Schoenster. I'm delighted to be here with you for this game. Let's take a look at the road to the final, brought to you by Twin Spires Sportsbook. If you're coming from that wild Chattanooga game, here it's 2 time zones earlier and also 30 degrees warmer. But that result does mean the winner of this game is going to Werner Park to play the number 1 seed, Union Omaha. Now to scout out today's matchup. First off, on the home side, FC Tucson have a myriad of offensive pieces and goal scorers, and the maestro of it all is Charlie Dennis. He's able to score, and he's able to help his teammates score. The second player to score 8+ in both goals and assists, the first being Arturo Rodriguez in 2019 for North Texas. A lot of offensive pieces for this Tucson side who can be the stars of the show tonight. But one man who's certainly going to have eyes on him is the best goal scorer in League One, Emiliano Terzaghi, back-to-back Golden Boot winner. Since coming to Richmond, he has scored 28 goals. Count it, 28 of them in just a 2-year span. The Argentine has been magical from all over the 18. He doesn't poach goals, he creates them. He can score from any single angle. Now, another guy who has an interesting angle on this night is Darren Sawatsky. He had an 8-11-9 record as Tucson's head coach back in 2019. He's looking for win number 20 as the Kickers head coach going up against his former team. Well, both teams have been through the ringer this season and have come out stronger. It's FC Tucson and the Richmond Kickers for the second week in a row. Lineups and kickoff are coming up next on ESPN+.
FC Tucson fans, you have a choice when it comes to your medical imaging provider. With several locations throughout Tucson, SimonMed offers a full range of services, including X-ray, MRI, CT scans, and more. Whether you're looking to get back on the playing field or need answers to your healthcare concerns, SimonMed Imaging. See tomorrow, today. Visit simonmed.com or call 1-866-614-8555.
Are you ready to take back control? It starts with a choice. Don't blame the system for their greed, for treating you like a number and not a person, because you have the power to do something about it. Don't make them too big to fail. Make your future too strong to fail. Put your money where your values lie and take back control.
Welcome back for the 400th ever League One soccer game. It's FC Tucson and the Richmond Kickers for the second leg of the League One playoff quarterfinals. Well, if you're a Ted Lasso fan, they are trying to believe here in Tucson. There was a point this year where they were in 11th place and they catapulted their way back up the standings and are now even hosting a playoff game. So the Tucson family went around the city and got themselves to rally the troops and get them in here to Tucson tonight. Now let's talk about the 2 games these teams have played this season. Starting in Richmond earlier in the year, a weird game. It was a 1-0 victory for the Kickers, but they only had about 40% of possession. So maybe a frustrating loss on Tucson's side. And then just last weekend, win and they're in, lose and they go home. Tucson had to find a result last Saturday, and they did so with a 4-2 convincing win against one of the best defenses in the entire USL League One. Worth noting, the home team in this series throughout has not lost a single game, which looks great for FC Tucson. And the formula is the same. 0% changes from last week's starting lineup. The same guys top to bottom. And this is definitely one of the more aggressive lineups they could have gone with. I think it's one of the best lineups they could have gone with for John Perlman's side. It is a great lineup for the side, and they're looking to score some goals. Now on the other side, though, Richmond throughout the season have been running the 4-3-3, but have decided to change to the 5-3-2 tonight, adding in Nathan Ani instead of Matthew Buildup. Maybe looking to brace the impact of this Tucson attack and then counter with Bolaños and Terzaghi, who have been their most productive goal scorers up at the top of the formation. And we are underway for the second quarterfinal in League One playoff soccer. It's Tucson and Richmond. Who is going to go to Omaha next weekend? It's worth noting last weekend Richmond donned their away kits, but for the playoffs, it's primary color against primary color. The Tucson black and the Richmond red. Uncharacteristic for the kickers to concede 4 goals. Tucson, that is all a part of the formula. They think they can score 3 or 4 goals against anybody. Richmond, it's only the 3rd time this season they've conceded 3+ goals. We're gonna get our first goal kick of the match. This injury report is brought to you by Athletico Physical Therapy. Great news. It's only the guys who unfortunately suffered season-ending injuries. Outside of that, everyone is clear to go, according to Darren Sawatsky and John Perlman, the head coaches of both these sides. And that's exactly what you want to hear for playoff soccer. Both teams sporting an 11-10-7 record, so identical on that front. Just a goal differential difference that was created on the final day of the season. Now here comes the Tucson attack. Left out there to dry for a moment after Ethan Bryant collided with it. Played off the back of the head and goes straight back to Jonathan Bolaños. Well, as always, we got the pleasure of talking to both coaches coming into tonight's match. The biggest match either of them have had to coach for these respective sides. First ever League One playoff appearance for both sides. And John Perlman said this: in the playoffs, everyone has played each other twice, plus you see them throughout the year when you're scouting for other teams. And not to mention, they just played Richmond. And he said, so there's not going to be any fooling around. There's not going to be any tricks that people can pull out to fool you. We won't fool them. They won't fool us. So it's going to be your 11 against theirs. Just about who has got the better team. It won't be about some silliness from a coach that they've been hiding all season. Granted, though, Darren Sawatsky pulling out a formation that they do not typically run. Here they come on the offensive. Pass from Bryant, though, only finds the back line of Tucson. There's Nathan Ani with a tackle. Just his 4th start this season. Talk about put some pressure on him, but he's been a huge every man on the defensive side, could plug in several spots. This ball gets crossed in for Bolaños. He couldn't bring that one down. Richmond conjure up the first real chance for either side. Just 3 minutes in. Take a look at this replay brought to you by RightShirt, the right insurance from pets to jets. Jonathan Bolaños just couldn't get over top of the ball. So just, this guy is way too high. Talking about Richmond, losing 4-2 last weekend, obviously not the way you would want to walk into the playoffs. But according to Darren Sawatsky, he said last game is over with. And the pressure in that one was different because we found out the night before we were clinched for the playoffs. They had to win that game. But now it's playoff time. And he mentioned that many players on both teams don't have a ton of playoff experience. Which means that you don't know what's going to happen when you get out there on the pitch tonight. Who will crack, who will shine. He said in order to help them handle that pressure, we have a game plan for everything, for every scenario. He said we want to be smart, execute the plan, and then when things get tough, he wants his players to lean on the plan to alleviate some of that stress. They've discussed and plotted for everything. Whether they score first early, whether Tucson score first early, or anything that one can imagine. This Richmond side are looking to stay prepared for any situation. Here's Derry Korf going forward. He gets dispossessed by Ani. Ivan Magalhaes, captain, makes himself forward and draws the foul and earns the whistle of our head official tonight, Jeremy Shear. He's slow to get up. Magalhaes, 27-year-old from Sao Paulo, Brazil, has been a focal point of this team for years. It's his 4th year with the Richmond Kickers. Boy, has he been a reliable center back. We're going to get a goal kick for the home side. On the same note as that 4-2 victory was not seen to be repeated in the eyes of Darren Sawatsky, John Perlman actually thinks the same thing. He says he doesn't anticipate this game being as wide open as last week. He thinks that Akira Fitzgerald, the Richmond Kickers keeper, will save some more of the shots that did go in last weekend. And he mentioned that it's an anomaly for Richmond to allow as many goals as that. But on the flip side, he's confident that his team can score that many goals on anybody in the league. Doesn't matter if it's Omaha, if it's Richmond, if it's Greenville. He said, though, in a game of bigger significance like this playoff game, he thinks that Richmond will be tighter. But if it gets into a track meet once again, or they're racing back and forth down the pitch, he says he'll take his guys over any in the league. Who could blame him? He's got firepower, like Kevin Rodriguez, Derry Korf, Shaq Adams, Joao Delgado, Charlie Dennis. And these are all guys who at different times this year have done some things brilliantly on the individual sense and in combination play. And he's still got some talented strikers on the bench as well. That's always been a storyline for Tucson throughout this season, just how competitive their roster is and how tough it is for John Perlman to make decisions. That'll be a storyline throughout the night. Emiliano Terzaghi draws plenty of fouls every time he plays. Take a look at the right shirt substitution. This time he's on Mohamed Kone. One of the steady additions to this Tucson side after John Perlman took over in the middle of the season. He'll get to talking to here. Here's Charlie Dennis. They'll play it out to Shaq Adams. One of the quickest players in the league, Shaq Adams. Do not want to let him get the ball in open space. He's just one of those guys that you have a collection of names throughout the year that as someone who works on these games just kind of catalogs, and it's players that coaches bring up without you prompting them to when you get on the call when talking about the opposing team. Shaq Adams is one of those guys that opposing coaches, when talking about what they have to worry about when playing the other team, his name is mentioned. I don't have to bring it up. No one else in our broadcasting crew has to bring it up because he's just that potent of a player. We got Terzaghi down once again. He's clutching his head. Have to be physical with him. Can't let him just run around rampant. He's actually wearing the captain's armband tonight. Typically, Magalhaes is the one who sports that. take a look at the right sure replay. Actually, oh, look at that. Charlie Dennis maybe threw out a heel there, and now he's going to get talked to. That's just the kind of intensity you're going to see. Not the cleanest of plays from Charlie Dennis, our player to watch on the Tucson side of things. Southampton Academy product. Academy that has produced tons of world-class players. Talking about Charlie Dennis, that is. Frankie just has to head that one out of play. We're going to get our first corner kick of the match. 10 minutes in. We'll see on set piece. This is a place that both of these teams are capable of scoring, and Tucson pride themselves in how well they defend set pieces and also how they score on them, but defending is one that John Perlman stresses week after week. Here's the ball from Vignoles. He can put in a good ball, but that one's subpar. Head around a couple of times. This is Chrysler trying to score his first goal of the season. Bryant in the same boat as Chrysler here. Mid-season edition. Plays that one centrally. And that's going to be hoofed upward by Kalen Fox. Here they come again. Bolaños playing it centrally. Cleared out by Fox once again. That's going to be a foul drawn by FC Tucson. Derry Korf going into the air. Actually, that's Kevin Rodriguez. Hasn't played a lot of the year, Kevin Rodriguez, coming back from some injuries, just his 6th start of the season. But he has scored 3 goals in this last stretch of games. According to John Perlman, it's not a revelation. They knew he had it in him, just had to get healthy. Here's Luca Mastrantonio. Plays it over to Adams. Now Nel Vignoles. They'll play it back. Well, this is a Richmond team, much like Tucson, had seen its ups and downs this season. And its first down happened before really things could even get going right at the beginning of the season. Injuries to Devontae Dubose and Ian Antley, the 2 guys who are supposed to start at their fullback positions. 2 crucial points on the roster, according to Darren Sawatsky. And he said, considering the injuries we had to guys who were focal points of the team, we've been inconsistent in a tough league. But we worked, found our form, and he really likes the way they're playing. And despite having lost the last 2 games, one to a Union Omaha side that clinched the regular season title in that game, and then a Tucson team last weekend who needed a win to make the playoffs, he said he's not worried about those last 2 results, and that's a whole new season now. Adams will get it past Zaka Moran. Dashing down the pitch. Tries to play it centrally, and it'll go off of Chris Cole. And it'll be our first Nova Home Loan Sunrise Branch corner kick. Actually, we're actually going to call it a goal kick. Glanced off of Shaq Adams as well. Since 1947, Select has been the leader in soccer ball quality and innovation. Select is the official ball supplier of USL League One and many of the elite leagues throughout Europe. For the latest Select products and special offers, please visit www.selectsportamerica.com. So we won't get our first corner kick for Tucson. That'll have to wait a little longer, at the very least. And Akira Fitzgerald will be the one to take it. What a season he's had. 88 saves, which is a League One record for a season. And typically, the top of the saves leaderboard, with all due respect, is not held by the best keeper because it's usually by a team that struggles to defend. But Akira Fitzgerald also has 10 clean sheets, so this year it's just not the case. He has had a fantastic year. He's had fantastic years, plural, in USL League One soccer. Well, He's been one of the best that the league has to offer, and this year he has had a phenomenal year. So FC Tucson, the attacking side, and Richmond, the defending side. That's the personalities that these teams take. We get another foul called against the home side. It's Derry Korf. Maybe not your traditional number 9, but he got the nod last weekend and he did well, scored a goal. And he got the start once again here today. Reyes goes down. It'll be another free kick for the Richmond Kickers. Take a look at that foul right here on the right for substitution. This kind of cuts underneath Magalhaes. And I want to go out. So Tucson, an attacking side. Do you change how you approach the game if it's a playoff game? John Perlman says no. He mentioned we've got lots of players with big personalities who could create great combinations between each other and also make chances for themselves by themselves. We are an attacking team that scores goals, and we will stay aggressive tonight. He said we want to pin them back, keep giving our fans something to cheer about. They will throw everything they can at this Richmond defense. So far, the Kickers have braced it nicely. The adjustments, lineup-wise and personnel-wise, have done them good, but that's just the first 15 minutes. It just gets harder and harder as the game goes on. Especially when they haven't had to suffer from a dangerous counterattack from Tucson. They can get numbers running down. Boy, look out. Came to talking about Tucson from the Kickers' perspective. Darren Sawatsky said this. He mentioned that John Perlman came in middle of the year after the parting of ways with John Gallus and FC Tucson. And he said that Perlman came in and provided some steadiness up the spine, adding Mo Kone and a couple other players that just steadied the ship. And here comes Tucson. Joao Delgado plays it back to Kone, that aforementioned player. He'll take the shot himself, and it's not on target. It'll be another goal kick. Darren Sawatsky anticipated that Tucson wouldn't change the way they do things. And when asked about how much adjustment do you make when you have to play a team for the second week in a row, but you also don't want to lose track of what you're good at, he said you can make adjustments to limit what the opponent is good at, and you can make adjustments to unleash the hounds. And he said you're going to see both of them tonight. He seemed pretty proud of what he would have up his sleeve, Darren Sawatsky. The first of which being their change tactically. Typically play that traditional 4-3-3 with buildup or Ethan Bryant interchanging on the right side. The other shifts back to midfield, one way or the other. But today, just the pair up top, Bolaños and Emiliano Terzaghi. Of course, Bryant still making his way up the pitch and influencing that right-hand side. Get a Tucson free kick. There's the right shore replay. Right shore, the right insurance from pets to jets. That will roll out for a Richmond throw. As you saw in the pregame, a lot of promotion to get the fans here. Had a good crowd last weekend. Another good showing up tonight for the playoff match here in Tucson. And why not? This is an exciting product, this Tucson team. High octane offense. You always see some fireworks when they're out. Here's Schenfeld making his way forward, working on Ethan Bryant. Maybe overworks himself and slips up. Not a lot of touches on the ball for Terzaghi thus far. That's not too much of a concern for Richmond. They know he'll show up when it needs, when the time calls. Fitzgerald again, 34-year-old goalkeeper. He will take his precious time. Much in the same vein that I mentioned coaches talking about players they worry about on opposing teams. I mentioned there's a handful of guys that get brought up without me asking. On the other side of things, every coach has their darlings, I would say, that they love to bring up about their own guys unprompted. Ivan Magalhaes is one of those players for Darren Sawatsky. Most of the time I don't need to ask about him. We've got two separate Tucson players on the grass. Korf looks all right, but Joao Delgado, not so much. 27-year-old midfielder. Coming from Portugal.
FC Tucson fans, to get our latest team merch, visit shopfctucson.com. And you can now visit our newly opened team store on the second floor of Kino Sports.
Very evidently in some pain.
Open Tuesday through Friday from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m.
That's the best kind of sign you can see, though. Back up on his feet. I'll look to see if he can walk it off. Here's John Perlman. This is a team that he brought back from 11th place. And not just 11th place early in the year. Like, this was well into the season. And then he got him on a fantastic run. A nice streak of wins, a nice streak of undefeated. Delgado is down once again. Doesn't seem like he is doing too hot trying to walk it off. Here's the right shoulder replay. Went airborne and did not land comfortably. Just one of the unfortunate occurrences. Nothing foul, just two guys going up for the ball. Delgado, a huge piece of this team. Brings a lot of creativity and just some individual talents on the ball. And also, he contributed nicely last weekend. A pair of assists in that 4-2 win over Richmond just a week ago. Earned himself a spot on Team of the Week. Oh, look at those kids over there doing their best referee impressions. Now Delgado hops his way off. That, I would think that means Perlman's going to have to figure out who to throw in. He's got a couple of options, a couple of guys. Maybe a Danny Bedoya, someone who could come in, someone who has started in many occasions throughout this season. Unless they can get it worked out with Delgado rather soon here. That's not going to be the case.
Right sure substitute.
And look at that.
FC Tucson, number 8, Daniel Bedoya.
Call me a fortune teller. There's Bedoya right there.
Joao Delgado.
Danny Bedoya has started 16 games this year. It's his 28th appearance, so only missed one match all season. Coming from the Queens. Or Delgado may be an electric player. John Perlman has sourced that Danny Bedoya in a room full of big personalities, guys who are very loud, very out there. Danny Bedoya is more of a rock on this team, a steady guy that they know will keep his cool in any situation. And so, although they'll miss the playmaking creativity that Delgado brings, Bedoya can bring an entirely different advantage to this side. It's one of those situations where this Tucson team, uber competitive in practice, given there's only 11 spots every single game to get in that start, and there are more than 11 players who are deserving of a start on this Tucson team. I'd say one of the deepest teams in the league, and that's what's gotten them this far. Korf slow to get up. Here's Dennis. He'll tap it out wide before drawing the foul. Well, Dennis is slow to get up. He's fine. John Perlman said that when he came in, he wanted to provide stability and confidence to the players. He mentioned how proud he is of his talented roster, of his staff, of the front office for how far they've come this season. He mentioned a lot of growth from this side and resilience. There could have been several times they could have hung up their cleats, and it wouldn't even need to be a full give up because they just made it in by the skin of their teeth in the playoffs. But they were full in believing this side, and that was just enough to make the playoffs. Here's Korf. He'll play it inside off the crossbar. I'm not sure if he intended that to be a shot, but boy, was it close. Akira Fitzgerald went flying to save it. It went over his hands. And just hairs away from a 1-0 lead for Tucson. But it wasn't meant to be there. That's the best chance of the night for either side. Heavy touch from Frankie. He's able to track down his touch, though. And he'll draw the foul there. And I'll take a look at this right shore substitution. Derry Korf. What a tough angle. And he rattles the frame. I think he was thinking goal there. Schenfeld still moving forward. Unable to draw the foul, but a commendable effort. Ethan Bryant surrounded by Tucson players. And a great tackle from Fox. And he's going to get bulldozed from the back. Ethan Bryant. No booking for that foul. Obviously one of frustration. To thread this through to Rodriguez, and this one will get pinged skyward. We're going to get a foul in favor of the Kickers. Tonight's match presenting sponsor is Right Shore Insurance. Right Shore insures everything from pets to jets, homes, auto, RVs, ATVs, commercial, business, bonds, and more. Visit rightshore.com for more information. Here's Bedoya. He'll win a corner kick for Tucson. And that is our first Nova Home Loans Sunrise Branch corner kick of the night.
Let's make some noise.
27 minutes in for FC Tucson. Charlie Dennis will look to put in a nice ball. Nine assists on the year. Headed out. And it'll be a goal kick for Tucson. Or for Richmond. Talking about Richmond, though. This past week, not quite what they were looking for. You would think, come to Tucson, play Tucson, find out you have to play them again the very next weekend. The plan was to go home and then come back. But after some flight issues, they ended up just setting up shop in Arizona for a week and staying down here. And according to Darren Swatsy, he mentioned that wasn't the plan, but it would have been rather expensive to fly back home and then turn right back around. And he said that we, as referring to all League One coaches, are just eternally grateful for what the owners contribute throughout the year. They pay for so many expenses, so we thought it'd be good to give them a chance to save some money, keep some in their pocket. That owners give so much to the team every year, and he's eternally grateful for it. He said that we wanted to go home because you want guys sleeping in their own beds when you can. But there are advantages to having to stick around. You get used to the climate, get used to the time zone. Not to mention, these players, from what I've been hearing, have been loving this Arizona weather. much like how it was 50 degrees in Chattanooga for our first leg of tonight's quarterfinals. It was around 50 degrees tonight in Richmond. Of course, we got a nice 80 degrees in warm Tucson. Flag will go up, and we'll take this back over. And here's the bracket brought to you by TwinSpires Sportsbook. Again, the first ever League One match to go to extra time happened earlier today. Chattanooga with a 2-1 victory over North Texas. When all was said and done, it was 10v10. I tell you what, North Texas are going to have nightmares about Chattanooga for the rest of the offseason, because every single game with them, they conceded a late game goal. Juan Galindra scoring in extra time, of course, the latest a goal has ever been scored in League One history. But they did it every single time in the regular season. And come halftime, if you weren't able to tune into that exciting affair, we'll give you the lowdown and highlights. So do not turn off your screen when the first 45 expire. Schenefeld with some fancy passing. This one nearly reached Korf, just a little bit too high. Here's a touch from Emiliano Terzaghi. Quiet night so far from him. All right, I get a kicker's throw. Chris Cole launches that ball down the pitch. Learned that long throw-ins are in his repertoire. Did it a couple times against Union Omaha a couple weeks ago with the narrower pitch. He offers you some options here in the attacking third. Bedoya has some room in front of him. He'll give it over to Adams. Working on Chris Cole. Here's Shaq Adams. Tries to play it centrally. Goes off of Magalhaes. Whistle from our head official, Jeremy Shear. Not sure what was foul about that challenge. Just trying to get a deflection, maybe get the studs up. Just a risky play on his part. Both spots in the League One final are on the line next week as the 2021 USL League One playoffs presented by TwinSpires continues Saturday, November 13th. Who will take their next step towards glory? Find out Saturday on ESPN+. We've already got one fixture locked in. Chattanooga Red Wolves will be going to Legacy Early College to play the Greenville Triumph. Winner of this game will go to Nebraska. There's John Perlman. 9 wins as head coach for Tucson this go-around. Of course, he coached them when they were a League Two side. Looking for double-digit wins this year. He's also the future head coach of FC Tucson. They locked him up for next season. No longer interim. He is the answer. And you can't blame the Tucson organization for doing that, given the turnaround they've had under his regime. Master Antonio scored one of the goals for Tucson last weekend. Now Dennis trying to chip it forward. Nice little ball to Rodriguez. But Calvo's able to catch back up to it. The former Tucson player, Esteban Calvo. There he's right there, Kevin Rodriguez.
Let's get loud for
and now we've got another Nova Home Loan Sunrise Branch corner kick. The second of the night for FC Tucson. It's just the third corner kick of the evening. Danny Bedoya will be on this one. 3 assists on the year for Bedoya. He'll tee it in. It finds Bolaños. A little bit of a miscommunication there, but the result is favorable to the defending side. And it'll be a goal kick for Kira Fitzgerald. So they'll look to go back on the attack here, Richmond. Although they concede a lot of goals, Tucson, a lot of goals just get scored all around given the way they play. one thing that John Perlman is confident about despite that is the compactness of their block. He said that we don't let balls get into the box, and then he mentioned that we've got deadly guys on the break. He says one of the keys to the night's game is that our players need to embrace that defense, all 11 of them. And he said that that is where we could create some of our best chances, and all is on the defensive side of things. He said we've got the pace, and we've got some nightmarish mismatches if we can get small numbers going forward. I would not want to get in a 3-on-3 situation with some of these Tucson strikers, despite how talented this Richmond backline is. This could be a nice little spot for Tucson. Actually, it's a drop ball for Richmond. Blast that down the pitch, nearly connecting with Bryant. Calvo will follow up on it. He will draw the foul. Advantage being played for just a moment. It's not a bad spot for Richmond. Kicker's free kick. And this would be one of those spots where the Kickers would love to find a goal. They're looking for a 1-0 result. That's the kind that they would like. Just get that one goal and then bunker in. Talking about the playoffs, Darren Sawatsky is a proud believer in defending wins championships. He said he's been proud of how his guys this season have defended. He mentioned that we just need a good mix of defending and have some chance creation. Set pieces could be one of those spots they could find that goal, that difference maker. Neil Vigneault has shown he can deliver some fantastic balls from free kick spots just like this. Delivered one to Magalhaes to win in added time against North Texas a couple weeks ago. Here's his ball, looks good, but it finds Kalen Fox. Already been on the end of a couple of these crosses from Richmond. That one sent skyward once again. Collision will draw a foul for Wallace Lapsley. Gets dapped up by Jalen Crisler after the fact. Just two guys going after the ball. Playoff soccer. You know it's going to get physical and get intense. Lapsley's up for the challenge. Worth noting, Wallace Lapsley, one of the few players in the league to start every game this season. Obviously, a goalkeeper maybe a little bit less physically demanding as far as injuries are concerned, which is why some players don't get to that mark. But still an impressive feat nonetheless. Akira Fitzgerald can't say he played every game. Here's Rodriguez. Nice little turn. Rodriguez moving forward. Takes a step. It's poked away by Crisler. Korf on the follow-up. Gets it deflected. And Fitzgerald will collect. Boy, I tell you what, Kevin Rodriguez is a slippery fella. He could turn on the burners if he wants to. And if there's anybody you wouldn't want to have the chance to wind up a shot inside the 18 for Tucson, it's Derek Korf. Already seen him come inches away from scoring. Here comes Dennis. He'll play it forward. Bryant able to make a man miss. Chips it forward, looking for Terzaghi or Bolaños, and just at the last second, Kalen Fox, actually it's Noah Frankie, gets his foot on it. Now Vigneault in a nice little spot. No, Vigneault turns, takes a step, still going after it, and then Fox deals with it. He's done well tonight, Kalen Fox, been reliable. And now here's where Tucson likes to be dangerous. Oh, a cheeky little flick from Dennis. Played out to Korf, but the flag is up. Offside on Derek Korf. Things getting a little more nervy here. Both sides getting closer and closer to some chances. Mind you, several goals had already been scored at this point just last week, so if you needed proof that today's game would be different, here you go. 42 minutes into last week's affair, there were 3 goals. But tonight's match brought to you by Arizona Bowl. It's just different. Playoff soccer is different. Both teams bending but not breaking. Both teams prodding but not capitalizing. Said it right before we got things kicked off. I went back and did the math. There have been 399 League One soccer games coming into this one, which makes this the nice 400th match. And that's counting the 3 League One soccer games that were playoff matches in 2019 and the one from earlier today. Keep talking about what a year it's been for Tucson. I asked John Perlman where he thought this group has grown the most throughout the season, because growth has been such a huge part of why they're here and why they're hosting a playoff game in the first place. And he mentioned that the biggest spot of growth he mentioned was how they handle adversity as a group. He said when things get tough, they now elevate each other in a wonderful way. He said they're resilient and they are physical when things get tough. He says they know how to focus on the controllables when things get out of hand. He mentioned you could see it just in that last game against Richmond. They went down a goal early, and now you're thinking, we have to score 2 goals against one of the best defensive teams in the league. But they did not waver or lose their confidence. They even ended up taking the lead before the halftime whistle blew. He said, we can change our fortunes in a 3-minute period. That's just how good our offense is. And he said that they know that they've got the answers. They're looking for an answer here. Here's Maxi Schenfeld. Going to Dennis, but it's well stepped to by Bolaños. Dennis back on the ball. Making his way forward, taps it to Adams. Shaq Adams. Wheeling his way around Vinyals. He is tightly covered by Magalhaes and Vinyals. That'll be the end of that offensive chance. It's worth shouting out, of course, although this game is happening in Tucson, Arizona, doesn't mean Richmond fans can't gather and watch the game together. So hello out there to the watch party in Richmond at Gus's Bar and Brew. I know it's pretty late, on the East Coast, but gotta stay up and watch your team. Plus, you get an extra hour of sleep tonight anyway, so if there's any night to stay up late, especially since it's a Saturday night, so it's not a work night. I also would anticipate some people in the Central Time Zone. Some Omaha fans are watching this game to scout out their next opponent. Both these teams have contested Omaha well at Warner Park, or well on the road. Tucson's game didn't actually happen at Warner Park when they played Union Omaha. They had one at Warner Park and one where University of Omaha played, Jim Mims' old home. They were able to get a win there. They didn't get a win at Warner Park earlier in the season. It's a tough, tough venue. Richmond were able to get a win there last year in 2020. They did suffer a loss a couple weeks ago to the Owls. And it was a tightly contested affair. Here's Vinyals trying to square it to Terzaghi. Instead finds Kalen Fox once again. We're nearing the halftime whistle. Do not turn off the screen after that's done. You have to keep your eyes on it right now as Shaq Adams was looking to find it on the run. Fitzgerald's able to fall on it. You don't want to stick around for halftime. We'll talk about next week. We'll talk about what transpired just an hour or two ago. Vigneault making himself move forward. He'll play it over to Chris Cole. Cole, one of those players who have grown exceptionally throughout this year. All the stories he's had. He's just a practice squad guy at points this season. Came in, couldn't get a contract, and then his fortunes changed. And now he is in one of the most important roles as a starter. He's able to score his first professional goal just a couple weeks ago against forward Madison.
FC Tucson
Now looking to get let on for Bolaños. It's given away. Bolaños can't quite get to it. Well done by Lapsley. We've got a collision over here. Bolaños taken to the ground, and the yellow card will be given for that collision. Jonathan Bolaños, it's his 7th of the season. Jeremy Shear, our head official. As we get our 3 minutes of out of time brought to you by Right Shirt. And we get our first yellow card of the night brought to you by Vantage West Credit Union. It's the 7th yellow card of the year for Jonathan Bolaños.
Vantage West yellow card, Richmond Kickers, number 17, Jonathan Bolaños.
That was close. Talk about an entire half of staunchly rejecting anything that Richmond threw at you, and could have given away something right there. That would have been backbreaking. Lapsley coming in to save the day at that point. Lapsley coming from Seattle, Washington. Last played with New York Red Bulls too. He's a guy that John Perlman loves as a keeper and as a human being as well. There's Noah Frankie. Very talented right back. Comes again with on the ball. Frankie plays it out to Korf. Looking for something before the half. Derek Korf plays it out to Rodriguez. Kevin Rodriguez will have to play it back. Now Mo Kone on the ball. He takes some steps forward. Loves it to Dennis. Has to shrug off some players. That's well defended by Richmond. Now Terzaghi turns. Got Bryant to his right. Terzaghi will take that option and play it out. White on Kalen Fox. Bryant on Kalen Fox. Here he goes. Sends it in the middle, looking for Bolaños. Just inches away. He had the goal in his face, but he couldn't connect on it. Close chance for the Richmond Kickers, but they could not capitalize. There's been a couple chances for Bolaños in this game. Early on, he got the cross that he couldn't bring down. Another right there. And then the chance that was given to him on a silver platter that Lapsley dealt with. That's another look of it on the right shoulder replay. And that is all she wrote for the first half of action. Both sides with some opportunities. No one could capitalize. And some good work defensively. I don't think we're going to have that 4-2 scoreline once again tonight. It's a much tighter, resilient affair for both sides. 0-0 at halftime between FC Tucson and the Richmond Kickers. But with that, 45 minutes have transpired. We've still got another exciting 45 minutes coming your way, but before that, we've got some great halftime content coming your way, so don't turn off your screen. Keep it locked in right here on ESPN+.
At Raising Cane's, our dining rooms are open, and our crew is serving up hand-battered, cooked-to-order chicken fingers, crispy crinkle-cut fries, buttery Texas toast, and my favorite, cane sauce. So come on in for meetups and wind-downs, lunch breaks and dinner fixes, pre-games and after-parties, or whenever your chicken finger cravings hit. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers, one love.
Lately, we've all faced difficult choices. We sacrifice. We choose to stay home, to connect, not to be stuck in our fears. And when we choose each other, life gets better. We choose to be here when you need us, to support you during hard times. We choose strength and hope. We choose you.
Mexico's more than a country. It's a feeling. Wherever you feel Mexican, there is Mexico. It could be in the middle of LA, or in the middle of nowhere. It's in our blood. Don't waste time trying to hide it. It's too big, too strong. This is who we are. Let's celebrate it. Tecate. Mexico is in us.
And we're back at Keno North Sports Complex. 0-0 is your score after 45 minutes of action between the 4th seed FC Tucson and the 5th seed Richmond Kickers. And with that, we're going to kick off your halftime content here. Excited to have it for you. We've got highlights coming your way and also some previews for next week. But first off, hello from Richmond. Great group of fans there. Packed house at Gus's Bar and Grill from the East Coast, all watching this game. But if they got there early enough, maybe they tuned into the earlier match, and if they did, they got a treat. It was the Chattanooga Red Wolves in North Texas. Every game this season between the two sides has been exciting, but it starts off with a Ricketts cross going off of Devin Benton. That is not how North Texas wanted to start off the USL League One 2021 playoffs. Devin Benton, no one around him, and just blasts it into his own net. And the Tucson chances kept coming. Now, your call. Is this a red card? Lukau throws in his arm, hits Galindrez. He is sent off. Down a man for the majority of this match, North Texas. And so Chattanooga in a good place until Jason Ramos, the most reliable defender on this Chattanooga team, doesn't look so reliable there. And Bernard Camungo continues his goal-scoring tear. He has been in great form recently. And the unlikely down a man, they send it to overtime despite a Ray Ortiz chance. And then Ortiz right here gets himself his second yellow after throwing it against a North Texas player, which puts him into the books. Maybe some dissenting earned him that card, making it 10v10. But then here, the Cardiac Red Wolves. Late game drama is their thing. Check out Juan Galindrez. Falls to the ground, still in the air. And he puts it in. Juan Galindrez. After extra time, the first time a match in League One history has needed more than 90 minutes. And of course, it's the Red Wolves that are involved in that game. As we take a look at the bracket brought to you by Twin Spires Sportsbook. Given that result, Chattanooga goes to Greenville, and the Kickers or Tucson will go to Omaha next weekend. It was worked by seeding, so if you're familiar with one good example is the NFL bracket. But let's talk about the matchup that we know is going to happen next weekend, Greenville and Chattanooga. It's going to be their 5th meeting of the season, and we have had some exciting affairs throughout, starting off with a wonderful free kick goal. And then Mario Slomis, a bit of a karate kick. Look at that. It's been a contentious affair, but it's one where Jimmy Obleda's side, the Red Wolves, have not been able to find a win. But they can atone for all of their Greenville-related sins if they could come away with a win at Legacy Early College next weekend. A couple of red cards have done them dirty in some of those games, put them at a disadvantage. And at home, Greenville has never lost to Chattanooga in the history of the series. The Red Wolves look to make that change. Greenville stole Chattanooga's bye last weekend of the season. So a saucy matchup between John Harks and Jimmy Obleda, two sides with some contrasting identities, one about stability, one about electricity. And now let's kind of take a look at the possible matchups. First off, Omaha and Tucson. This was during one of their matches. Tucson were able to find a win. This was the match that wasn't at Werner Park. Either way, whoever wins the match tonight, it will be at 5 p.m. Eastern when they play the Owls over in the Werner Park venue. It was a matchup that Omaha had the better of against FC Tucson, but Tucson do have one win over Omaha, and when it comes to the playoffs, anything can happen. These are two teams that can really run up the scoreboard, but Omaha can also bunker down and keep things tight. It was a 1-0 victory for Tucson when they played Omaha, so not their traditional way of winning. And then we look at the other side of things. The Owls and the Richmond Kickers only played twice this year. It was a 1-1 draw at City Stadium. A weird shot cross from Ferretti Sosa, and then an own goal from Toby Otieno in this game as well. Otieno may feel bad about letting this one go in right there, but he would get the chance to redeem himself just a couple weeks ago when they had a chance to clinch the regular season title, and he does so in glorious fashion. So in this case, we would probably look at the more defensive side of things with Omaha and Richmond, but those are your two potential matchups for the semifinals. We got more to come from the USL coming after this on ESPN+.
Physical therapy is usually the thing you're told to do after medication, x-rays, or even surgery. But what if the best way to fix your aches and pains is to start where you normally finish? At Athletico, our therapists, the same ones who work with world-class athletes and professional dancers, can transform your pain before it progresses to something worse. Because the sooner you start with physical therapy, the sooner you can start changing everything. And it all starts here with no prescription needed at Athletico. Schedule your free assessment today.
Today, as you step onto the field, you step into your purpose. You step strong. You step hard. Con toda la fuerza de mujer. You step up.
This hit on the line! Oh, and put it in! A magnificent strike! You go down, you come back, and you find a way.
Goes topic season. I mean, yeah, let's talk about today we're gonna go topics.
Roll it down.
I am.
You don't need a car to listen to Sirius XM. You can listen anywhere. You know that, right?
What? Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio.
Kevin, you could use your phone.
What? What?
Alexa, play Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio on Sirius XM.
What?
This is how I know you're getting old. I guess that was it.
What?
I am a first-generation student here at Bellevue University. I feel like if I were to have gone to a different university, my experience would have been a lot more stressful and overwhelming, because I feel like I wouldn't have gotten that personal experience that Bellevue University has to offer.
This hit on the line! Oh, and put it in! A magnificent strike! You go down, you come back, and you find a way.
Welcome back to halftime here. First off, of course, Union Omaha and the Greenville Trent. We highlighted them a little bit in the past segment. They were the ones who earned the buys, and they will be hosting the matches next week in the semifinals. Meanwhile, in Golden Boot news, Emiliano Terzaghi now has a pair of golden boots. If he clicks his heels 3 times, it takes him to City Stadium. No place like home there. Meanwhile, Abdi Mohammed earned himself the Player of the Week award for the final week of action, Week 30. And here's the rest of the Team of the Week from Week 30. 4 Tucson players from that 4-goal victory. And, of course, Terzaghi also making an appearance on this list, notching his 18th goal, record-breaking 18th goal in a regular season. And there it is, Emiliano Terzaghi. Most goals this season, most goals in a single season for any player in League One history. And then Charlie Dennis highlights himself there, an assist master on his part of things. Looking to log another one here tonight to make it 9-9 on the year for him. And then Here's some of the highlight keepers. Nuhu is able to win the Golden Glove Award this year, but Akira Fitzgerald, you see on the right side, 88 saves, also a single season record. So Richmond players at the top and the bottom of the formation, just setting records all around. If you needed to catch up on what happened last weekend on this Raising Cane scoreboard, it was a wild week to end the regular season in League One action. Of course, the Tucson-Richmond game 4-2. A couple other things shifted, including Chattanooga slipping below the Greenville Triumph in the bracket. Now let's take one last look at the bracket, brought to you by Twin Spires Sportsbook. Again, winner goes to Omaha, and then they'll have a chance to play either Greenville or Chattanooga should they win that affair. Let's find out who the winner will be. Let's get highlights and stats coming up next on ESPN+.
There once was a time when I went traveling through the night, when I woke up to my surprise, saw a sliver of big, big sky.
Let's be honest, the world has changed. Everything is done a little differently now. But what hasn't changed is the time that you spend with us is still amazing. And even though things have been tough, we're here to help you unwind. Sheraton Tucson, showing you that the good times are back. We can't wait to see you. So get ready. It's time to check in.
Physical therapy is usually the thing you're told to do after medication, x-rays, or even surgery. But what if the best way to fix your aches and pains is to start where you normally finish? At Athletico, our therapists, the same ones who work with world-class athletes and professional dancers, can transform your pain before it progresses to something worse. Because the sooner you start with physical therapy, the sooner you can start changing everything. And it all starts here with no prescription needed at Athletico. Schedule your free assessment today.
And we're back at Keno North Stadium for FC Tucson and the Richmond Kickers. 0-0 is your score, so we'll quickly go through the highlights brought to you by Rightsure to catch you up on what happened after catching you up on what transpired early today in 120 minutes in Chattanooga. 3 minutes in, Jonathan Bolaños had a chance to give them the early lead, but maybe the ball's a little high. Bolaños couldn't get on the end of it, but it wouldn't be the last opportunity that Jonathan Bolaños would find himself having in the first half of action. Just couldn't capitalize off of any of them. Then, on the other end, Derry Korf rattles a shot off the frame. He can shoot from any angle, Korf. He has done it throughout the year. Was looking for his 8th goal. And then we had another couple of chances throughout the game, but nobody could find that clinical finish that they needed. I think Bolaños will be kicking himself at halftime, so I'm sure that Sawatsky got to him to make sure he doesn't get in his own head. So you see Richmond retake the pitch and get prepared for what could be a deciding 45 minutes should a team find a goal. Be Tucson going to right to left this time around. Richmond left to right. Home side will kick off in just a moment once we get the go-ahead from Jeremy Shearer, our head of visual. Here we go. Will we find a winner in the next 45 minutes? We already had one match tonight go to extra time. Do we have another, or will a ticket to Omaha be punched here in the second half? I'm sure Richmond will want to go home before making the trip to Nebraska. Having already spent a week here in Arizona, a lot of people want to go see some loved ones. Meanwhile, Tucson, of course, here in the comforts of the Kino North complex. And here come Tucson, Derry Korf making his way forward, trying to split the defenders instead of playing it out wide. Worth noting, no substitutions for either side. Both coaches confident in their personnel for the time being. You probably want to think about making sure you get the full use out of any player that you might be thinking of subbing out. Given the drawn score at this moment and the way it's going, maybe you gotta keep your mind on extra time and making sure you don't throw in a player that's gonna run out of steam after getting subbed in. Here's Kalen Fox, I would say, had a fantastic first half. He was assertive and ensured that nothing too dangerous would happen if he had any way to make his say on it. I'd say he's a massive reason why Tucson have not conceded at this point. The likes of Ani, Zaka Moran, and the collective of the Richmond backline done well on their side of things. Fox plays it out to Schenfeld. He scored a goal last week. Hadn't scored all season. He was able to let one fly from beyond the 18, and Fitzgerald couldn't handle it. Korf will get that one to go off of Esteban Calvo, former Tucson player. Played with them last season, Calvo. He was first on the team in tackles and tackles won. He started all but one match, of course, in that shortened season. He's another player who's familiar with this venue. Of course, didn't really get to play with fans in attendance, given how everything was last year. Here's Bryant, played over to Vignoles. Played just a little bit too far for Bolaños. Bolaños got some wheels on him, but he's not that fast. Mentioned Nil Vignoles once or twice in this broadcast. Him and Ivan Magalhaes are two guys that Sawatsky has a ton of confidence in. I asked him this week, and I told him Akira Fitzgerald and Emiliano Terzaghi are banned from this answer. I said, who are some players who you think are ready to step up in the brightest moment, in the biggest game of the season, in the playoffs? That's what the playoffs are for, players to step up and shine. And he gave me two names. He said, defensively, Ivan Magalhaes. He said he's been a stud, he's our captain. He knows that he's ready to kick it up a notch. And then on the offensive side, he said that Nil Vignoles is often overlooked. He mentioned that he can make some fantastic passes. He said he could be a bona fide number 10. And he mentioned that he had been used differently in other places, and now he's confident in this role. He thought that Vignoles was a player who wasn't being utilized correctly in his other venues. Of course, Tormenta being the place he saw him last. And he thinks that he knows what his strengths are, and he's been happy to have him throughout this year. Nil Vignoles being number 10 for the Kickers. Korf spinning around a little bit, able to get it back to Schenfeld. That's a precarious step. Bolaños gets tripped from behind. That might Earn him a spot in the book. Mo Kone, the one on the challenge. Had a nice break, and Kone tripped him from behind, and that will put him in the books. His 5th yellow of the season, Mo Kone, the holding midfielder for Tucson. I'll see it right here on the right, sure. Replay. Yep. Clear as day. So we'll get a free kick for the kickers. Mentioned already that Neil Vignoles can deliver a nice ball. Now Milcone will have to be careful for the rest of the affair. A source of stability on this Tucson team, Kone. Vignoles place this one in, finds its way down to Ani. Ani squares it back up, headed centrally. Grizzler couldn't get a good foot on it, and Wallace Lapsley will scoop it up. Now throw it over to Maxi Schenfeld. Nathan Ani, another one of those guys who haven't scored a goal all season, and then Grizzler, a guy who hasn't scored a goal all season. Both looking for their first in the biggest match of the year thus far. Here the Tucson faithful chanting in the background, looking to rally their troops. Bedoya switches it over to Rodriguez. Check that, that's Noah Frankie. Now Korf on the ball. Tried to get it right back to Korf there, but instead it's the Richmond side of things. And now they'll go on the run. Terzaghi on the ball right now. He'll play it over to Bolaños. He plays it centrally, and ultimately not a big opportunity there. Let's take a look at the last opportunity that was conjured up by Richmond on the right sure replay. It kind of pops its way over to Ani, and then he did hit it on the bounce, maybe hit it up a little bit higher than he wanted to. Bryant sends it back in, and Chrysler in an awkward spot got his foot on it, but that wasn't enough. Here's Vignoles. Has some space in front of him. And then he'll just play it back. Didn't like what he saw. And Richmond is a side that love to practice patience. They're not going to force anything, especially when you're up against a Tucson side that if they can step on a pass and explode the other way, they're for sure to create something. Not to the desire of the kicker side. And on that same note, Zaka Moran down on the grass. Our head official pulled out his card, and he actually already brandished it. Moran slow to get up on a physical player, Zaka Moran, one of the most intense players in all of USL League One, as Derek Korf collects his 5th yellow of the season. See right here. Englishman just clipping the feet of Moran after he got rid of the ball. Ball a little bit too far, and that'll end up being a goal kick. Now Tucson, conversely, talked about how Richmond is careful when they're on the attack to not give away anything that could spring a counter. Tucson is in the very same light against Richmond. John Perlman said that when you have the ball and you're creating chances, he said that's when you really have to be careful about Richmond, especially in Tarzaghi. He said that they are really good on the counter. And he said, if we lose the ball in our own half, first off, our #1 priority should be to win it right back. Press hard, and if you can't do that, we have to roll up our sleeves, get a little physical, and slow them down so then we can get bodies back and build up that block. And here come the kickers. Speaking of taking it, Tarzaghi fires a shot himself, and it's cradled by Wallace Lapsley. That's really the first Tarzaghi shot sighting of the night. He's been quiet on that front for the most part. Maybe getting a little bit impatient. To be fair, not a bad shot on his part. But there's an example right there to demonstrate what I was talking about. And now Tucson, they're moving forward. Korf takes a couple steps. Now Dennis trying to turn around, but Calvo is privy to his actions. Got a Richmond substitute pending here in just a moment. That one's going to go off of Calvo. They'll look to escort it out, keep it from being a corner, but it will be a corner kick. Let's take a look at that Tarzaghi shot again on the right sure replay. And Lapsley is able to deal with it. And now it's time for a Nova Home Loans Sunrise Branch corner kick. Danny Bedoya, the one on the end of it. Concentration, another one of the keys that John Perlman talked about this week as a key to victory. He said, we have to be concentrated on the attack. And he said, when we are focused, nobody is more dangerous than us. Let's see what they can do on a set piece here. Bedoya's ball, a little bit high. And Fitzgerald able to run his way over to it. Is able to keep that in play, showing some physicality, but at the end of the day, not the winner of the battle. There's Shaq Adams moving forward. He'll give it right back to Tarzaghi. Slips up and allows for the Tucson free throw, but we're going to get a whistle. Here is that substitution for the Richmond Kickers. Coming in, Victor Falk in favor of Nathan Ani. So Ani, definitely defensive-minded. Meanwhile, Victor Falk, he'll come in and maybe offers a little bit more promise on the offensive side of things. This substitution brought to you by Right Shirt. Maybe thinking to get a little bit more aggressive here. Darren Sawatsky, he likes what his defense has been able to do. It's not like Falk is a null defensively. This one will get played all the way back to Lapsley. So maybe we get to see our first personnel change of the night. Can't watch the match? Turn on Sirius XM FC 157, North America's only 24/7 source of soccer radio, featuring Ray Hudson, Tony Miola, Rodney Marsh, and USL All Access with Mike Watts and Devin Kerr every Tuesday night at 7 Eastern. You can also hear live action from the USL, MLS, Premier League, and more, all on Sirius XM 157 in the SXM app. Here comes Cole, picking up a head of steam. Tries to play it in the middle, but Mastrantonio is the only one behind it. Will be a Richmond throw. No goals yet. A goal could mean a trip to Union Omaha next weekend. That's what's on the line. Chance to play the regular season champions. Crew led by Jay Mims. It's worth saying this, and of course, now the head coach of an eliminated team, Eric Quill, told me it was about a month or two ago when the standings were just crazy tight, and they would be that way up until the end of the season. He said this: if you're one of the teams that make the playoffs, you can win the championship. As Bryant sends this one in, Lapsley had to lay out for it, and that one goes out for a corner kick. Ethan Bryant, just 20 years old, deciding to let one fly on this right shirt replay. Look at that. We're going to get a Richmond corner. There'll be another nil Vignoles chance. Facing him is Olex Anderson right over there. Maybe a guy we'll see later in this matchup. Vignoles waits for everything to be set. Here comes his ball. Falls down a couple times, cleared away. Took a couple of looks. Now Shaq Adams trying to track that one down, and after some chaotic moments, it will be a Tucson throw. Scary moments for both teams because Richmond, ball bouncing inside the 18, and then on the other side, you have Shaq Adams with some space. Couldn't quite collect it though. We'll take a look at the right shirt replay. Magalhaes has nearly got to it. And there is Shaq Adams tearing towards the ball. Here's Terzaghi. Terzaghi fires a shot, and it's saved by Lapsley. Not as convincingly as one may like, but they all count the same in the end. Getting tested more here in this second half, namely by the Argentine. There he is, Emiliano Terzaghi. I already mentioned it. Coming to Richmond last year, since then has scored 28 goals. A marvelous number, and also the most of any League One soccer player. Like we saw at halftime, he has got a pair of golden boots to his name. After the failed back heel for Tucson, Nil Vignoles executes it nicely to Bryant. And Kalen Fox continues to be reliable, getting it off of Bryant and then shrugging away Nil Vignoles. Fox is a guy that Perlman has loved all year. I also asked him the question about who he thinks is a guy who could step up and make things happen in the playoffs, who is built playoff ready. Kalen Fox was one of the names that Perlman brought to my attention. One of the missions throughout this year for Richmond has been to keep focusing on building a winning culture. That's something that Darren Sawatsky has in mind. It's a long process, and one of those parts of the process is bringing in the right guys. He's been so big on players being resilient, being able to adjust to adversity of all kinds. He says that soccer throughout the regular season can get weird, and so we want guys who are ready for the weird. And one of those aspects is, do you have the right players to handle it? So I asked him, how do you find a player that fits that mold? As Korf moves forward, they'll play it out wide to Adams. Shaq Adams trying to get past Calvo, and he will not do so. Also be guilty of the foul there. A free kick for the Kickers. Calvo standing his ground against the shifty winger. Adams was able to slot in a goal last week. So we take a look at the right shirt replay. Maybe an arm got thrown out there, but it will be Richmond ball. When it comes to personnel, how do you find guys that fit that character? Because there's so much soccer talent around the world. And Darren Sawatsky said, I know what I like. He also mentioned that you have to take a risk sometimes on younger players, as this one gets squared in the middle, looking for Terzaghi. But the whistle's going to blow before anything could have happened. The offside flag went up. So nothing would have come of that anyway. It takes time, though, to build a culture. So you can collect guys who already fit that mentality, but also you got to take a risk and get some of those younger players, because you have some several-year members of your roster, guys like Akira Fitzgerald, Magalhaes, Luke Pavone, who can help instill that culture in younger guys who don't have it yet. And he said he also relies a lot on his network to find good players, and he says that process never stops. He already has eyes on players for the 2022 season. And he says he gets phone calls all the time from people he knows who inform him of a player that he might like. And he says that it's just something that takes a lot of time, and it takes time throughout the year. Vignoles could fire a shot here. It's deflected off the back of one player. Bryant will chase it down. That's going to roll out for a Richmond corner kick. And so the momentum sways back and forth. No goals to be seen thus far. Zaka Moran will be the one to take this. Seen Nil Vignoles take most of them. But Moran will craft one up from the right corner. That's not a bad ball, punched away by Lapsley. A little bit too close to the face of goal. Take two, punched away once again by Lapsley. He's made some good saves here in the second half. We'll get a Richmond throw. Wallace Lapsley, 76 saves in the regular season, which is second in the league to only Akira Fitzgerald. And boy, that's scary. You've got two Richmond players flying right in front of you. Two big guys. Here's Chris Cole. He can launch in a throw. He does so here, and Mastrotonio's on the end of it. Kickers putting their foot on the gas a little bit more. Brings it down to Chrysler, square to the middle. Magalhaes, and it's going to get picked up by Wallace Lapsley. Some awkward transactions there for Tucson, and it nearly resulted in a beautiful Richmond chance. Magalhaes just couldn't quite put a shot or play it out to his left to Terzaghi. And the Kickers getting closer and closer to that lead. Felt feeling the pressure from Bryant. That'll go out for a deep throw in their own territory. We're going to go back to that last chance there to see it again on the right sure replay. Well brought down by Chrysler. Magalhaes looking to play it to Terzaghi. It comes back to him, and he couldn't get the shot off. Mastrantonio kept it from getting to the Argentine, and that could have been all crucial. Because if Terzaghi gets at that spot, you have to think it's 1-0. So the Tucson defense stepping up here. Cole able to step to that one and win a throw for the Kickers, and he'll be the one on the end of it. He can throw it far. He'll kick back the sign once again. Chris Cole maybe looking for one of the more unconventional ways to score on a dead ball from the throw-in. Bryant plays it to the middle. Chrysler couldn't get his foot on it. And it will roll out once again for a goal kick. 20 minutes and stoppage time to go here in regulation between Tucson and Richmond. Obviously, this can't end with this scoreline, as we saw earlier today. will go out for Richmond throw. Athletic Brewing Company believes you shouldn't have to sacrifice your ability to be healthy, active, and at your best to enjoy great beer. So they created their innovative lineup of refreshing and non-alcoholic craft beers. Visit athleticbrewing.com to find their beer in stores near you. Korf squares it in the middle, looking for Adams. And it's just shy of his man. We're going to get a goal kick for the Kickers. First sign of life offensively for Tucson recently. It's been all Richmond as of late. And you see some of the fans behind this goal would love to have a wild celebration after a Tucson score. They're just waiting with anticipation. Trying to keep it light. But as the minutes tick on, you know the nerves are only going to get built higher and higher. So we anticipated that Darren Sawatsky would have some wrinkles coming into the game, given the result last week. John Perlman thought no differently of Richmond. That one's dealt with easily. Perlman says, there's always going to be wrinkles in response to opponents' adjustments. And he said that we looked at the film from last week, and he said, we'll also have some new stuff, especially on set pieces. And that's something that's not too detrimental to comfort in the way you play and your identity. Just set piece chances, just some stuff from the training ground. Fitzgerald will let this clock roll. Chrysler has had a couple of chances in the opposing 18. And of course, his expertise is not on that end, and it has shown at times. He's always been ever reliable on his side of the ball. The 2021 season comes to a conclusion when the USL League One final takes center stage. Will a new champion be crowned, or will a former champion be showered in glory once again? The USL League One final is just 2 weeks away on ESPN+. Will one of these teams be playing in that match? That remains to be seen. It may not be the best odds because you have to go to, I'm not even going to say arguably, the toughest venue in League One at Warner Park for many circumstances and reasons, but one of them being, of course, it's the home of the #1 team in the league, Union Omaha. Rodriguez plays it back to Korf. He could fire from here. He does so. Doesn't get past Magalhaes. Second chance, though. Squared into the middle. Looking for Adams. He taps it out to Schenfeld. Schenfeld with a heavy touch. And Calvo with the nice tackle. Schenfeld still on him, though. And Richmond averts some danger. Calvo squeezes it through. Gets it to Falk. Here come the Kickers. Moving forward. Bolaños takes the shot himself, saved by Lapsley. Trying to tuck it away in the bottom left corner. And they've been testing Lapsley here in this second 45. He's been up for the task thus far. Here's the right shoulder replay. Bolaños, a guy who has grown a lot of confidence throughout this year, has 5 goals, and one of the players who benefits the most from the stardom of Emiliano Terzaghi. So much attention is given to the Argentine. Gives a lot more room for Bolaños to do his bidding. 15 minutes and stoppage time to go. Can one of these teams find a deciding goal? Here's Vigneault's ball. Not much on that one. Moran trusts his touch and plays it back in. Chrysler taps it back to Bryant. Takes a step, and that's too heavy of a touch. Just giving it right away. Now Korf on the break. Plays it over to Schenfeld. Here's where Tucson is dangerous. Schenfeld with loads of space. Decides to take the shot himself. It's crossed in, played back upward, hoofed into the air by Chris Cole. And that one will go out. I think it bounced out of the byline and back in, so it'll be a corner kick. You hold your breath here, fans. Schenfeld actually may have been intended to be a cross. Dennis plays it back in. And now we've got a Nova Home Loan Sunrise Branch corner kick for Tucson. Richmond had a chance a moment ago. Wasn't the best of balls from Nil Vignals. Now Danny Bedoya plays this one in, and only Jalen Chrysler on it. Here's a ball from Frankie. Magalhaes is on it. The two wonderful center backs for the Kickers, both getting on the end of it. Now Bolaños with some speed. Lapsley off his line. Tracks back though. And then he shrugged off there. Well done by Tucson. Maxi Schenfeld going the opposite hand of the pitch. And now it's going to be offside on Bolaños. Getting a little more hasty on both sides of things. Players sprinting up and down the pitch to try to catch the other side with less numbers. That might be what one of these teams need to break the deadlock. I will say this, if either fans of either side are disappointed that their team hasn't scored yet, it's still good practice for next week. Omaha's going to bunker down. It's going to be hard to score then as well. Rodriguez slips and is able to get back up on his feet with the ball. Shifty guy, Rodriguez. He'll take a step. Gets tapped inside, and Chrysler's on it. Mo Kone trying to prod that block. This ball skyward. Dennis looking to corral it. Looking to play in the middle, but nobody was there. It was just Zaka Moran. Bolaños draws the foul, bouncing off the chest of Charlie Dennis. It'll be a free kick for the Kickers. Shove from both sides of things. So it'll be another free kick for Zaka Moran, one of the other Argentines on this Richmond Kicker team. Of course, headlined by Terzaghi, but Moran another in that group. Hernan Gonzalez also on the bench, all coming from Argentina. And we're going to get somewhat from the Richmond bench. It's not Gonzalez, but it is Matthew Buildup on this right sure substitution. Typically, he's a guy who starts. He's got 22 of them this season, and he'll appear for the 29th time this year, coming in for Jonathan Bolaños. Moran lofts this one to the 18, headed upward. Headed once again, and will go out of play. 10 minutes and added time to go. At least should the score remain as it is, it will be more than that. So we have some late game heroics. We've got a field that's full of them right now who are capable of scoring. Terzaghi, Dennis. I would put Derry Korf on that list, Shaq Adams. Zaka Moran has a fantastic goal against North Texas. Vignals could create something. A lot of players who could show up late here. You saw the bracket once again, brought to you by Twin Spires. Winner goes to Omaha. Terzaghi. Another key substitution coming up for Tucson. Another one of those players that could come in clutch. Gio Calixtro about to make his way on the pitch. Bryant sends it in the middle. There's nobody there. Falk will track it down. He'll wheel around. And his ball goes off of Noah Frankie. That one going off of Terzaghi for a Tucson throw, and that'll be the chance for Calixtro to come into the game. And he'll come in for Kevin Rodriguez. So I talked about Nil Vinyals as well as Ivan Magalhaes as the guys that are maybe key players in this game for Darren Sawatsky. As we get this right shirt substitution, we now have both the players that John Perlman highlighted when I asked him the same question. Kalen Fox was one guy he thought could really show up big. And then he said Gio Calixtro is another player who could really step up. He loves the combinations he creates with some of these strikers. And if Calixtro's his impact on this game is similar to Kalen Fox's, that would be huge for Tucson, because Fox has been outstanding. He has not given an inch, Kalen Fox. Now here's Calixtro getting on the ball, still on his feet. He'll draw the foul off of Nil Vinyals. Giovanni Calixtro, 4 goals, 4 assists this season. Mastrantonio plays in the air and is off the mark looking for Shaq Adams. Richmond looking to show up in the face of adversity once again. They give it away to Tucson. Here comes Frankie. Moving with some intention, and then he just sputters away on that pass. Now Adams plays it to Frankie, and no foul called. Buildup collects it. Much to the distaste of the fans in attendance here at Keno North Stadium. Now Moran slips as he plays it. Schenfeld's there. Gary Korf at the back for Tucson for now. I'm sure he'll make his way forward. That one tapped out by Bryant. Building culture. Big mission for Richmond. Cannot stress it enough. And I know it's something that's grown throughout this year. That's why I asked Darren Sawatsky, what is the biggest part of building culture? Is it playing games? Is it a certain amount of practices together? Is it just guys being able to be around each other and build that chemistry off the pitch? And he said it's bouncing back from losing performances. He said if you look at our record throughout this year, you know, the last 5 where you get a green box for a win, a gray for a or for a tie, and then a red for a loss. He says our colors have been all over the place all year. And he said we've had a lot of red blocks or losses that we've then turned around and bounced back nicely. We've been consistently inconsistent. But losing and bouncing back is how players grow and how culture is created. And they're trying to bring it to a fruition here tonight. Here's Bryant with some space. Tries to thread it to Terzaghi. You know their heads are always going to twitch to look for the Argentine, especially as the clock ticks on. Chattanooga won in extra time earlier today. Will we have another extra time affair tonight? Not unless one of these teams have something to say about it in the next 5+ minutes. Fox plays it up. Adams and Cole on it. Adams is able to turn around, and although got past Cole, Cole's key touch was Able to give Magalhaes a chance to track it down. Here comes Korf. Takes a step, weaving around, trying to create the space to cross it in. He will win a throw for his side, though. Here's Dennis. Could fire a shot here! Charlie Dennis gives Tucson the lead in their first ever playoff game. He is now double-digit in goals this season, and that one the biggest one yet for him this season. This goal brought to you by C. Charo, the Englishman, the maestro. What a goal there for Tucson, and they take the lead with time winding down. And the crowd here erupting in applause. Let's take a look at that right shore replay. And I'm gonna have to check my eyes. It's Derry Korf who scored it. His 8th goal of the season. What a moment for the other Englishman. In 2019 was the League 2 MVP with the Ocean City Nor'easters. And his 8th goal of the season could end up being critical. And now it's go time for the kickers. Luke Pavone coming into the game. They're gonna have to throw everything forward now. And on the flip side of things, Dakota Bardathan coming in for Danny Bedoya. Defense for offense. All these substitutions brought to you by Right Shore.
Number 11, Alex Anderson for number 8, Ethan Bryant.
So Bryant comes out for Alex Anderson. And Matthew Buildup is going to come out for Luke Pavone. Richmond are in desperation mode now. All those substitutions brought to you by Right Shore, the kickers. We're going to find something on the other end.
Sorry, number 8, Daniel Bedoya on for
Wallace Lapsley.
Dakota Bardathan in for Daniel Bedoya.
So Tucson now can start thinking about doing whatever they can to kill the clock, and then they can start thinking about Omaha. Alex Knox also into the game. Another defensive piece for Tucson. And he'll carry this out for a Tucson throw. Here's Korf, the goal scorer. He'll keep it in the corner. This one played back for Fitzgerald. Anderson is the guy who can make some plays himself. Plays it out to Luke Pavone. Pavone looks to square it centrally and wins a corner kick for the kickers. 3 more minutes to go. Can Tucson hold on? This added time brought to you by Right Shore. They've scored in added time before to win games and to draw them. And they need it now more than ever, the Richmond kickers. This ball played inside, and Lapsley gets his hands on it. He's done well tonight. There were chances that Richmond looked to take the lead, and Lapsley was on top of it, and he's done it again here. And with that, that's going to be about a minute of the 3 transpired. time Richmond could potentially get this one back. A minute has already passed. How many more moments do the kickers have up their sleeve? Or will Tucson carry this one out? Thrown into the corner. They escorted out for a goal kick. A minute and a half left. Unless they can do something about it. The kicker season winding down to an end, and Tucson can start circling next Saturday as a trip to Nebraska. Chrysler plays it forward. It almost spills to Buildup. Hoofed away once again. This one falls down to Charlie Dennis. Knox pokes it to Korf, and he'll play it forward for Alex Knox. 2 of the 3 minutes are gone. Thrown in for Ivan Magalhaes. Launches it up the pitch, headed upward. Terzaghi trying to track it down, and he's been well handled around the penalty area tonight. Kudos to Luca Mastrantonio and Kalen Fox. And add Mo Kone into that mix as well, doing the dirty work to make sure the Argentine doesn't get any quality chances. Korf, take his time as this reaches the 3-minute mark. This could be it. And there's the final whistle. Tucson, pack your bags. You're going to Omaha next weekend. And just like that, midway through the season, John Perlman came in, righted the ship, and they are now semifinalists in USL League One's 2021 season. Your final score, FC Tucson 1, the Richmond Kickers 0. What a night at Keno North Stadium. Derek Korf is your man of the match, brought to you by Right Shirt. He scored the goal. There he is, number 9, the Englishman. You can't let him cut into the 18 like that. He's able to rifle it past Akira Fitzgerald and give Tucson the victory. Win number 12 on the season for Tucson. Win number 10 for John Perlman as the League One head coach. Wallace Lapsley, another huge reason for the victory tonight. Several saves on his part. Let's take a look at our play of the match now. Here it is. Thrown into play. Korf on Cole. Turns and puts his laces through it. And that's a textbook Derek Korf goal. That goal brought to you, that play of the match brought to you by Right Sure. Wallace Lapsley, 5 saves tonight. 5 big saves for Wallace Lapsley. What a night for the keeper. And there are some cheering fans here from Tucson. They came tonight for some excitement, and they got themselves a win. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have highlights, stats, and final thoughts right here on ESPN+.
At Tucson International Airport, we're nonstop for family reunions and first-time meetings for our teams and our heroes. I'm Danette Bewley, CEO of the Tucson Airport Authority, where we are nonstop supporting jobs and prosperity as an economic engine for the entire southern Arizona region, all without any local tax dollars. Tucson International Airport is nonstop for Tucson.
Kick off your shoes and go barefoot with us. Laugh with us. Yes, girl, with us. Surprise with us. Good times with us. Celebrate you with us. Strike a pose with us. Swap with us.
Sip barefoot wine with us. Put down your phone and relax with us. Be you with us. Barefoot with us.
Since 2015, one local nonprofit has donated over $4 million to Southern Arizona charities and brought in over $100 million to boost Tucson's economy. This year, with a new title sponsor, new added events, and New Year's Eve kickoff at noon, you will love the Barstool Sports Arizona Bowl, followed by the New Year's Eve Barstool Sports Arizona Bowl Bash. Learn more at thearizonabowl.com. That's thearizonabowl.com.
And we're back after a final score. 1-0 is the result. The home side victorious, and will be going to Omaha next weekend. Welcome everyone back to the broadcast one last time for the night. A victorious FC Tucson now huddle up with the joy and relief of scoring a goal in the 87th minute, courtesy of Derry Korf. What a match between these two, and they got a great show tonight, the fans here in Tucson. Wonder how many got drawn in by the Believe signs throughout this week and got treated for it. Here are the Right Shirt full-time highlights. Derry Korf thought he may have given his team the lead right here. Didn't know about the retribution he would gain with moments left in the match. A rattled shot, can't give him any sort of space inside the 18. Ethan Bryant, he takes a shot, punched away by Lapsley. Tell you what, Lapsley got tested a lot in the second half, and he came up big time and time again. Here's another one of those looks right here. Tarzaghi decides to let it fly, and Lapsley's on top of it. This could have been a moment where it got snuck past him as he quickly pulled the trigger, but Lapsley was up for it. And then the magic moment, 87th minute. Korf turns, it bounces, and then he lets it go. Nothing Akira Fitzgerald could have done about that. Huge moment. Another look at it right here. What a night for FC Tucson. What a goal for Derry Korf. And here is your updated bracket brought to you by Twin Spires Sportsbook. So the two home sides won. Maybe that's not what they're thinking will happen next weekend. It's Tucson and Omaha, offense versus defense, and then Greenville versus Chattanooga. Another instance, you would say, of a more defensive side against an offensive masterclass in Chattanooga. A lot of great matchups here, and we'll take a look at both of them before we close things off. We had two great games this weekend. How about that? Extra time in Chattanooga, an 87th minute game winner here in Tucson. Next weekend, the first matchup will be Tucson and Omaha at 5 p.m. between them and FC Tucson. And then at 7, it'll be the Greenville Triumph and the Chattanooga Red Wolves. So the League One season has not disappointed. It's been exciting throughout the regular season, and it almost, as you would have anticipated, carried into the playoffs just the way we would have liked. Got 4 goals combined this weekend. Some wonderful affairs as we now take a look at the matchup that we now know to be Union Omaha against FC Tucson. What a match and what a hands full that Tucson will have. The best offense in the league and the best defense in the league both belong to Union Omaha. They'll be bracing up for FC Tucson. Meanwhile, on the other side, it'll be Chattanooga and the Greenville Triumph. Mind you, both of these matchups are the 5th meeting between the sides this year, so like I said for this game, there is no hiding tricks, nothing sneaky. It's just going to be the best 11 will win. We've got 2 great, exciting ones for next weekend, so you're going to want to stick around and watch those. And we got to have a great one here tonight. But with that, that concludes our quarterfinal weekend here in League One Soccer. For our broadcasting crew, my name is Mark Schoenster. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next weekend on ESPN+, but until then, have a good night. Be sure to tune in next weekend at 5 o'clock Eastern. Thanks, and have a good night, folks.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League League One cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League League One.